Hello friends, in this video we'll talk about the new roles. When we create a new roles, supposing we have created a new role by the name of staff group. The first thing we need to do when we create a new role is that we need to connect this role to the database. That's the first thing we have to do, otherwise it's all useless of creating new roles. So the first thing is that we need to grant a permission by the name of connect, the connect permission to this role, the new role, to this DB. So this new role will have the connect permission onto this database. The other thing is that we also need to give this role, we grant it the usage on this schema and on the other schema as well, same as we did with the previous role, with the admin group role. Now we can give this role a specific permission on a specific table that we can do. We can give select, insert, update, delete one specific permission to one specific role on a specific table. But if we create a select permission to this role, that means this is a read-only user. Again, this is the read-only user. It can only query the data in the database. Same thing with this role. We can give it the select permission on different tables, on one table, two table, three table. So it is possible that we can give it the select or a specific role, a specific permission on different tables, on multiple tables. It is possible, which means this role can suppose delete or update or insert on multiple tables. It's possible. Now also this new role, we should give it the select on all views. Now the views are, it's almost like tables with some limitations. So we need to give this new role a permission on all the views in this schema. And again, this role we give it can select, can query any large object. Now the large objects, obviously it's understand from the name of it, large object. It's a big LOB, it's a large object in this schema. So we can give this role the select permission on all large objects in this schema. Another thing, okay, let's start by doing a few of them actually. So let's start by creating the staff group. Copy, create role staff group, created, grant connect, grant connect on database new DB to staff group, to this new role. Grant usage on schema login to this new role. Grant usage on schema login to staff group. Granted. Grant usage on schema users. Now it is not necessarily that you give all these things to one role. No. What we are doing here, what I'm doing here is just I'm showing you what these roles can do and where we can use them. But it's not necessarily that you copycat whatever what I'm doing in here. You have to select which roles suitable for your needs, and then you apply them and give them permissions. So whatever we are doing here, whatever roles we create, whatever permissions we give to these roles, it's just for demonstration to show you what these roles can do and how we can add them to and join them to the roles. So grant usage on schema users. Now we grant select on tables. Now this role will be read-only user. Grant select on table login table to staff group. Now since we don't have these tables, so I will not do them, but you can do it as well. Same with the views. We didn't create any views and we didn't create any large objects. So, but this is the code how you can grant select on all views in schema login to staff group. Now here we grant certain role some certain privileges on certain column in a table. That's a long one. So we are granting this role certain privileges on a certain column of one table. Okay, I think this is understandable. We are giving this role, we are granting this role this privileges to work on this specific column which is available in this table. That's it. That's the whole deal. Now these privileges can be more or less. So let's say select insert only, or insert update, or select update. It's not necessarily the three of them, no, but it's specific permissions. You grant them to one role, and these permissions will be applied on a specific column in one table. So this is the code how we can do it. Okay, and now the same thing with the sequences. You need to do it as well for any new role that you create in future. You need to apply all of the sequences on any schema. Here's one important thing, and you need to give attention to it when you execute functions. Now functions is simply a bit of code that do something, as understood from the name functions. You design or you write a code, this code do something, and this is the function. Now there are two types of functions: security invoker functions or security definer functions. When you grant a role to execute on all functions in a schema, you need to be careful. You need to know, first of all, this function, is it security invoker function or security definer function? This function here now, what it will do, whatever it will do with the permissions of this role. Whatever the permissions of this role allow, then this function can do. That is a security invoker function. So if you do whatever code in here, this code cannot perform anything unless it is within the scope of the permissions of this role. So any work or any job that this function do, it is outside the scope of the permissions of this role, this function cannot work, cannot do it, because it's outside the permissions allowed for this role. That is the security invoker functions. Now how about the security definer functions? No. The security definer functions does not work with the permissions of this role. It works with the permission of the owner of the object of the database. That is, let us assume that is the super user, or the admin one, or the administrative one. That the super user can have all privileges, can delete any database, can change, can truncate, can do anything. Or maybe an administrative role, which also can create database, create role, delete database, delete role. So if it is a security definer function, that means this function will work with the permissions of that role, that super user role, or that administrative role. It is not limited with the permissions of this role. So that's why the danger, or you have to give a very attention if the function is security definer function, because simply this role, maybe it has a permission that it cannot delete, create DB, no, delete DB, no. But if the function is a security definer function and the object owner has the right, let's say a super user or administrative one has the right to delete a database, this function can delete. It doesn't follow the permission of this staff group, which cannot delete a database. No, it will follow the permissions of the owner of the object. I hope that clarifies what is the difference between the security invoker function and the security definer function. Security invoker function works within the boundaries of the permissions of this role. Security definer function, the functions works within the boundaries of the object owner, not with this current role. This is the entire thing. So again, what we are doing, you should not do exactly as I'm doing. I'm just showing you how you can do, but you need to select which permissions suitable for you. So again, please don't just copy exactly what I'm doing. This is a lecture, this is a tutorial, so you don't have to do exactly all these permissions on your roles. But I'm just showing you how you can use this role and how can you assign them to roles. Use these permissions and assign them to your roles. Now, this is a one good thing. If you have created a new role, how you can assign it to the previous role, to the previous privileges. So alter default privileges for role admin group and schema users, grant select insert update. Notice here we add the staff group. Notice here that we add the staff group. So because this is a new role, so we are giving it to the default privileges that we have given to the admin group.